because people have blackmailed people, or not blackmailed, they've extorted people, I should say, and they've played on their emotions. And this is all, I mean, years ago before that, psychics did it and bounty hunters did it. And it's amazing how the amount of energy and the creative genius of deviance can never be underestimated.
Oh, so true.
It's they talk about stupid criminals, and there are stupid criminals. There are stupid non-criminals too. But you see so many people that choose to do bad things, and you just think if you put that mind to work for good things, you'd be phenomenal.
Well, there is you see that day in and day out, and most importantly, the hard part is when you see it when people victimize our elders or children or those people who are more vulnerable in life. There was an incident this past couple weeks ago where a senior citizen had literally was being scammed out of his life savings, and all with a phone call with somebody saying to him, hey, how about I have an investment opportunity, and how about you put all your money into this? And the man called his accountant and transferred his funds, and I'm talking about over $1 million, transferred his funds to give to literally this scam artist, this criminal. And thank God he was warned and was told maybe this is a scam, and so called our office, and we were able to kind of quickly call the bank, put a hold on it, and an 82-year-old man would have been completely out of his entire life savings. And all too often you see that where somebody has gone, and that's a vast amount of money, but for some people they've lost a few $1,000s, and it has made their life hell, where they are now living in a home which isn't their own, where they don't even have a room of their own because they've been victimized by evil people who do that. Yeah,
your tipping point doesn't have to be $1 million. No. It's whatever your tipping point is, and some people it's a couple paychecks or something, But were you able to prosecute that person in any way?
We are still in the midst of continuing that, but it's nice to sit down there and talk about how, despite the fact that our senior citizens sometimes are victims of scams, the more they become aware of how to avoid that, which is part of the initiative we do through our senior exploitation unit, the better things are for them. Because if I had to pick a line,
maybe it should be called the anti-senior.
That's true.
Anti-exploitation unit, because that sounds like that you're training people to exploit the seniors.
We are. Well, you know what? If I had to come up with a line for them, if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Right. It's like I hear things and I pick things out that I think just are named wrong. Like there's a search team that has their annual canine roast, and I'm like, I'm not coming to you change the name.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You got to throw another word in there, and you got to make it spell something out. But yeah, that. And do you think that the amount of people getting tricked is going up, down, stabilized, or?
I think the amount of people who have invested time, energy into this has significantly increased. The amount of people who actually engage in scams, I think because of the internet, because of the telephone.
It's easier.
It's easier. And we have more senior citizens now here in Delaware County and in Pennsylvania than we have in generations past. So because of that, I think we're seeing it more. We're also seeing more the fact that many of these scams are coming from abroad, which makes it far more difficult from our vantage point sometimes to prosecute those individuals, because being able to identify them in some other nations make it sometimes more challenging from our vantage point.
And I think that's another result of the internet allowing for phone calls to be cheaper. As soon as the price of phone calls went down, that's when it started to go up because of being cheaper to do.
And I love the fact that people are able to communicate with family and friends in a way that is less expensive for them. But I don't love the idea of people being able to scam our senior citizens and remain anonymous.
Right. And like years ago, back way long time ago, when the first big organized email thing that was public was Prodigy. I don't know if you're that old to remember that, but they gave you so many free emails a month, and you got charged a nickel an email, a penny an email, or whatever. And I think there is some value to charging for email, because it would cut down. I think if you said everybody gets 100 free emails a month or 200 free emails a month as an individual, I think that the majority of people would be fine with that.
Yeah, but aren't you then isn't there that corporation that's going to say, if you pay $5 more per month, I'll give you unlimited email? And isn't that how we got here?
Yeah, it is.
And how do you avoid going down that slippery slope?
Yeah, I just think it would be nice if you could somehow, if that spam message coming into you was costing somebody money, and that money could be put somewhere else.
So true.
Into anti-scamming.
Well, I think every time
education.
you get one of those spam messages, we should be able to, ideally speaking, if we could figure out how to identify who created them, we should be able to. Let's charge them, right?
Yeah,
let's charge them.
One of the biggest spammers in the country was local, and he got charged a lot, and eventually went out of business, which was great, But now we have robocalls and other things, and technology keeps catching up. The domestic violence, is that up or down?
I can tell you that I believe our incidents of domestic violence are increasing, and I think that because we sit down there, and the issue is that, well, let me rephrase that. We are more aware of it now, perhaps, than we used to be, and in some ways, it's good that people are coming forward and able to talk about it more, and most importantly, I am so grateful for our advocates and our partners like Domestic Abuse Project, like Women Against Rape, who have partnered with us to create shelters and have safe houses for our victims, where that wasn't necessarily the case years ago. So I can't tell you if they're going up or if we're just hearing about them.
Yeah, and that's the problem with so many of these things. If you're just hearing about them, it's we hear and we see everything nowadays, and it's not always good. I went to I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I don't care.
Mark.
They had a pool party for a place I work a couple days a week. Mm-hmm. And I just stopped by, and they said, "Oh, come on," and stuff. I said, "I really don't want to." And I said, well, that's, nothing enhances the work experience better than seeing all your coworkers in bikinis and Speedos, and it was like, I went there and I walked in, I was like, oh my God, it was exactly what I thought it would be. And we just see everything. And I just realized that, I need layers. I need mystery. And there is none of that anymore. There is none of that. There's you can find out more about a stranger on the internet looking at a profile than you used to have to fumble through as a teenage boy trying to meet a girl. Take you 6 months, 8 months of actual interaction.
That makes, you know what, nowadays the internet is obviously used not only for amazing things where we're able to look things up and instantly figure out what medically might be wrong with us, where we literally pick up the phone and call our doctor and go, hey, I have XYZ, solve this problem. But at the same time, it also has created an opportunity for victimization, which is kind of sad. So we try and figure out, for example, we do community safety initiatives, and where we go teach parents about how to make sure their children are safe. And we teach children about how to not become victims of crime themselves, and how to use the internet and their cell phones, which are basically an extension of their hands,
right?
Safely. But, when you talked about the idea of we hear about it more, I have to give credit to those people who are victims, who have come forward and who feel safe to have a voice to talk about it more.
Yeah, I've always felt respect for people when I see they lose a loved one to opioids or some other substance, and they mention it and they don't hide it. because I think it helps other people, and I think it helps them too.
It does.
Ultimately, I think they don't realize it. So in your in doing the job, what rules of thumb have you learned? Because you go all over the place. About what clothing rules have you come up with for going places? Like you talked about open-toed shoes,
So I have learned that people enjoy seeing what you wear, which is kind of entertaining, but it's something I've always kind of known. I have always thought about the idea of dressing appropriately for the moment is something that matters. Most importantly, the idea of, at the end of the day, though, we're all people. And even when I might show up at a formal event in a suit and realize, oops, this was not something appropriate, you gotta laugh and walk in and go, it is what it is. And sit down there and literally out yourself. I didn't know this was a formal event. I am here in my suit from work. And then everybody enjoys the moment because, frankly, none of that matters, right?
Right. Well, but we hold like. Do you go somewhere and go, when I'm going here, I have to wear boots?
No.
No,
I'm not a big. Those kinds of rules are not so important to me.
Because, like I was saying, I saw the picture of you at the house demolition, and I said, I don't know if I'd wear those pants to a demolition.
See, exactly. That's the whole point. I'm sitting down there wearing to the demolition. It was a hot day out. I'm going to wear something that's going to be a little bit cool. That was my theory.
But it's amazing how, and I had this talk with Cecily Tynan about, because I see on her thread where people will almost Mr. Blackwell her, and whereas, a guy can get away with wearing the same crusty suit.
Cecily Tynan is an amazingly beautiful woman who is consistently available on TV to sit down there and watch how not only brilliant she is, but beautiful. So I'm sure people have an opportunity to look up to her. I'm that DA who just kind of does what I do, and thank God I'm not held on a pedestal like that. I just I remember one day she was doing something, and I walked by, and my brother watches news, and I don't watch the news, and I was over with him, and I saw it, and I walked by, and I remember thinking, I don't like that outfit. And I was like, who am I to judge her? Because as I say, who am I to judge her? I mean, I stick a pitchfork into a pile of black clothes, throw them in there, and run under them, and that's pretty much my strategy for dressing. And I'm going to judge her. I see your staff is agreeing with you.
Yeah. And I'm looking and think, I don't know if I'd wear that. Who am I to judge her? And I see that people put a lot of time into judging what people wear, and I just think that it's difficult, and that's why you have to be like that. That's why I think you pick a color and you just stick with it.
Well, I find that the smartest probably thing to do is just to wear a suit every single day, and then you won't run into any issues. But I'm not sure I always follow that rule of thumb.
Do you last time you came, you had Emily and Joe with you, and this time they've let you out alone.
They have.
Do you guys, and Emily just had a child. Not just had a child, but recently. And do they let you out alone more? Because Joe's almost a constant companion,
Well, I enjoyed the benefits of much of the job is all about partnerships, and it's about taking people and being with people who, when you go somewhere which you're not familiar with, maybe somebody else might be. And so it's a matter of sometimes bridging the gap. And once that gap is bridged, then it helps you actually create those one-on-one relationships yourself.
I saw you. We were at some event together, and you were talking. People was winding down, and you were working your way to the car. And Joe went to get the car, and he backed up around, and he was like, "Where is she?" And he's like, "She's going to stop and talk to every person."
I know. I enjoy speaking with people. I enjoy speaking with people. It's true.
But to do your job, that's not something that they can You can't be trained for that. Nobody ever writes that down as one of the qualifications of the job. You must be able to engage random people at random times for random durations on random topics.